Now here you go. Now you're live. Now we're live, guys.
Oh my goodness. I can't believe we just did that.
That's
So you
okay.
guys, you missed the entire first 15 minutes of us gabbing about Pittsburgh. I'm very sorry. Welcome to the Gateway Podcast. I'm your host, C.L. Thomas. This is Shawn Kelly. He is
Hi,
on the
guys.
radio show right before me. What is your show called? Into the Night?
Into the night. Yes.
He's a fellow radio host on United Public Radio 107 FM New Orleans.
Mm-hmm.
He is in Pittsburgh, and I actually was born and raised in Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I wanted him to come on the show, because we're going to talk about this book, The Demon of Brownsville Road.
Mm-hmm.
The book was written in 2014 by a guy who lived in the house. I think sometime in December 1988, the story starts, and he and his family move into this house. It's located in Pittsburgh, on Mount Washington.
Brownsville Road.
Brownsville Road.
That would be Brentwood or Baldwin. Brentwood, I think.
It's Brentwood, yeah. It's in Brentwood. So the story is there are 4 children move into this house, and then it begins like this long string of events that happen, very similar to what you hear on a lot of haunted documentary with haunted locations and families. So they believe that this eventually led to a demonic entity, and they had to expel this thing from their home. So they called the Catholic Church several times. I think in the book, the Catholic Church did not want to perform any exorcisms on the house or the son that lived there. And there was a lot of problems with the son that lived there at the time. And so finally he convinces the church, after several paranormal groups went out there and did documentary work and all that sort of thing. The house, I think it never actually got cleared, but it got better for them. And then they ended up moving out of the house. The guy's name is Bob Kramer, and he writes the book from a first-person account. But it's an interesting book because it's not real popular with the paranormal community, but it's right up there with like Amityville. It's right up there with some of these other horror stories that we hear about so often, such as what's the other one I'm thinking about? The Warrens.
Haunting in Connecticut. The Annabelle or whatever.
Yeah, there's several houses up there that.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. You know about this book. You live in Pittsburgh. Mm-hmm. You've heard about the stories and things. So, what do you think about this? But before you get into that, I didn't give you a proper introduction. Do you want to tell us again who you are, since I didn't have the button live?
Okay. Yeah. Most of the people in here know who I am, but who don't know, my name is Shawn Kelly. I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And I am the I'm the founder of the Pittsburgh Paranormal Society. I formed a group back in 2006. Did over 1,000, seriously, over 1,000 investigations with clients and just going to different places. Hey, Michelle, good to see you. Holly, good. The Conjuring. Thank you, Hall. And 2022, I retired Pittsburgh Paranormal Society, and I retired from ghost hunting. I was in the place I did the paranormal for over 30 years. And whenever I started with my podcasting, actually the paranormal field took a back seat because I wanted to put all my energy into this. So that's where I'm at. And it is 14 degrees here in Pittsburgh. So
I can't believe it's 14 degrees there. It's 55 in Vegas.
No, must be nice. I don't know if I could handle it. 55.
It feels cold. It feels cold to us.
Oh, I bet. I can imagine. I can imagine. But talking about the Brownsville Roadhouse, the reason why it isn't popular with the paranormal field is because when that book came out, a lot of paranormal teams tried to get a hold of him to actually do an investigation in the house. but he would never return their calls. Okay. Um, Personally, I believe when he wrote the book, and this is my own thing. Um, this is what I think, that he got an ego because it was published. And I guess you look at it like either A, he just made up a bunch of crap to put into the book, or he just wanted to have all the glory for himself. Now, say like PPS would have gone in there and investigated, people would be looking at PPS instead of him. Do you understand what I'm getting at with
Yeah,
that?
absolutely. Yeah, it's kind of like the Warrens in the Conjuring
Ooh,
house,
yeah, me and the Warrens.
the Amityville house.
Well,
He really,
I kind of believe in that, but the haunting in Connecticut, okay, and I did a lot of research on that, and come to find out, Ed Warren went up to his writer. He only had one writer, okay, and he says, "Well, you know the story, make it scary," is what he said. And they actually did, not the Warrens, but somebody else did an interview with the lady who lived in the house, and she was not impressed with them people at all. She actually didn't want them in the house. But I will tell you this about the Brownsville house. I did, believe it or not, I did an investigation to the house next to it. Okay. And I actually got to walk around the properties. And it really did have like kind of like a weird feeling to it. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Nothing evil. Okay. It's just another house with a lot of spirits in it. You know what I
No,
mean?
but when you investigated it, though, was it during the time that all of this stuff was going on, or
Yeah.
no?
No, no,
He
no, no.
gets the house exercised and all that kind of stuff. So maybe you went there after they cast all these demonic entities out.
Possibility. It is possible. But even on an exorcism, spirits do come back. You know, they do come back. you know, you know what I mean? So um, I was really, I would have to say I was really upset that the dude never got back to me,
I
nor
did
any
get
other groups.
in touch with him about just doing an interview too. He never
Mm-mm.
responded. I think I saw somewhere that he's in politics now.
Um, I don't know. That's why he's not popular here in Pittsburgh. That's why he's not, you know, I mean, everyone bought the book because it was in Pittsburgh on Brownsville Road, but they just he was just ignorant and allowed people in. Can't be more honest with that. I mean, can a house have demons in it? A way I look at that, it could, but if you also got to look at it too, that not all houses that claim to have demons in it, okay, they're just angry spirits that do bad things in the house. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Um, like if I went into your house and I was a ghost and I tore down a wall, or no, you tore a wall down that I liked the wall, I'm gonna be mad at you and I'm gonna raise hell. Do you know what I mean?
Well, it's always the same. It's interesting because it's always the same story with this stuff too. You have a family that moves in. They
Right.
always have young kids. They start renovating the house. It's always an older home, and then they start renovating the home. And then there's
Hmm.
always one kid that is severely affected,
Right.
whether it's a girl. In this case, it was the boy. And so it got to the point where that boy was so affected that he actually was moved to a different room because they felt like that spirit was was connected to the one room in the house.
Okay.
Which is
Um,
interesting.
but I mean, what's the difference if you move them to? Oh, okay, Jenny. What did she says? Jenny Nicosia. That's my old That's my little podcast partner there.
She
The
says the
demon.
demon on Brownsville Road owner made it into a wedding venue. Well, it's a really pretty house. It's a pretty property.
Yes, it is. It is.
Mhm.
But so he's just making money out the ears with that house. But I mean, now I don't know. Like I said, I did not read the book, but did the kid have I want to say like high anxiety stuff like that
He
because
became a problem child. He ended up having he had suicide idealism. He had a lot of anger problems. He became very aggressive. He
okay,
was into a lot of trouble at school. I think he might even got kicked out of school at one point. Um, just the normal. To me, it sounds like a lot of normal teenage boys stuff that is
exactly.
that needs like guidance of some sort or something. But
But
that's
if you look at it, you're releasing all this negative energy out there in the universe, right? Okay, of course the bad spirits are going to feed on it. Do you know what I mean?
right. Well,
Yeah,
Michelle says maybe he had depression after writing the book. Just a thought. Now that I've have published 3, I can say that can happen. It can happen. You're right.
hmm
You're right. So, okay, Shawn, you say that we were talking earlier before I forgot to hit live. We chatted just a little bit about when people write these books about a haunted location. I wrote a book about a haunted location. It was a home I lived in, Dancing with Demons. Um,
okay,
and you made a statement that when people write a book like that, their sole intent is to make money on that
right.
book. For
hmm
me, it was a personal goal because that haunting affected me so much. I wanted to try and help other people
Okay.
with that book. That was my whole purpose of it. But
You're
I
not
didn't,
mad at me, I hope.
no, I'm not mad at you.
Okay,
But
I hope not.
I can see what you're saying though, because um, I see so many people out there and they have these stories like this. They write a book and then it goes on to be like a movie thing. It ends up being like $1 million ticket for them, basically.
Ed and Lorraine Warren.
Yeah, exactly. So you do have to wonder about how much of that stuff is just Hollywood, is it legit?
Well, the one for the haunting in Connecticut, that house. Like I said, Ed Warren went up to his writer and said, "Okay, here's what's going on in the house." All right. He's talking to his writer, and he said to him, "Well, you know this backstory to this house. I want you to make it scary." And with them having, with the Hollywood background, of course they're going to jump. People in Hollywood are going to jump on it. You know
Mm,
what I mean? And then they made that Annabelle. Or I guess it's The Conjuring.
right,
You
the
know,
Conjuring House.
um, I can go into a demon house, or I can go to the most haunted house in the whole wide world. But you put me in a house with dolls, where or baby dolls, or any type of doll, or clowns, man, I'm gone. I don't even step in.
You
That just
you
you
wouldn't
know,
like that haunted museum that's down here in
uh,
Vegas.
no.
It's
People
all
tried.
clowns.
People tried to get me there to go there. I'm like, no, you can have it. I don't care. No, 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 no. But so I just wish people like you, writers like you, I will be honest, I never heard about your book. I never heard of you writing your other books. So I really can't um, tell how I feel about you. Okay. Um, I don't like using the word judgment because I'm not allowed to judge. Only the big man upstairs can judge people. You know what I mean? But I just don't like it how um, people just take a story coming from a house and make it into a movie to where it's more like I've been on that type of an investigation before. Look at Annabelle, The Conjuring, the doll. So what? I've been into houses that are haunted dolls. You know, um, So that they just wanted to make money. It's all it was all about. Hey, Mr. Wojo, seriously, I believe that's all Ed and Lorraine were in for, was into making money.
That's a shame, you know. Well,
Mm-hmm.
there's so many people though that are involved with the Warren Foundation, and they seem, you know, I talk to a lot of those people. There, a lot of them are my friends, and
Don't
they're
you
really
know?
legit and down to earth. You know, so how
Right,
could there be a foundation around two people that fabricated all of this stuff?
right. Nobody knows about that. Nobody. Nobody knows that they fabricated the housing, the haunting in Connecticut. I mean, when we did a show, me and Jenny did a show on it way long time ago on Chase and Prophecy. I really looked into it, and I listened to Ed and Lorraine Warren one time, and this was before I even knew that they were writing books and stuff like that. And my opinion is that hmm, they're kind of shady, and that's my opinion, you know, on it. A lot of people love them, you know what I mean? But and everybody, I'm not here to tell people who to like, not to like, or whatever. I'm just giving you my opinion on what I felt, what they actually did with them books that they wrote, and got lots of money. Amityville Horror, you know, interesting
Okay,
story. Yeah, you
that's a,
know, and I believe in the story, but the way they put it on or on movie or whatever, come on, you know what I mean?
now. I went to Amityville a couple times and seen the outside of the house. I have to go to New York a lot for work,
Mm-hmm.
and the house, the whole neighborhood there, it's a really ritzy neighborhood. I mean, we're talking millionaires live there. And it's these properties that are right off the water. They got these boat houses. They have these fabulous boats that are parked
Mm-hmm.
right behind our houses. So it's that kind of neighborhood. And it does feel kind of weird there. It's
Right.
definitely haunted. It's got a lot of weird negative energy to it and things like that. But as
Mm-hmm.
far as the Amityville house, I've talked to several people that were involved in that whole thing back in the day. And
Mm-hmm.
they all say the same thing. The guy was just, he was a drug addict. He was working with a guy that was in the mafia. His grandfather was part of the mafia, and there was a bunch of stuff that went down that led to that.
Right.
So that's the part they leave out. And on top of that, the Warrens, there's actually a video out somewhere on YouTube where that shot with the little boy on the staircase. I
Mm-hmm.
wish I had that queued up because I would put that on the screen. The kid's in like a red checkered, what it looks like a red checkered shirt of some sort, and it looks like his eyes are glowing.
Mm-hmm.
It was actually the cameraman. And what he did was he said is because I did the same trick and I actually have the photo from that trick. I recreated the entire thing. Um,
Mm-hmm.
the guy, he had quarters. It's like a old photographer's trick. You put quarters in the eyes. You set the camera up on a timer and just let it go off with a flash, and it'll catch your eyes like that.
Oh
So
wow.
there's an interview out there with the Warrens, and he's kind of standing in the background with the camera, and he's got a red checkered shirt the day that picture was taken.
Oh, okay.
So, and
Okay.
it's out there. There's another guy that completely debunked it. Look it up on YouTube. It's out there. So I'm just
Okay.
going to throw that out there.
All right. I appreciate you telling me about that.
Yeah.
Why can't people like you just write book to help people? You know what I mean? It's been in my mind to write a book at all the investigations I did, and you know what? I got ADHD, so it's kind of hard to do that. You know, write a book about my stuff. But honestly, even if you did tell I wrote a book about my investigations and stuff like that, you're gonna have so many damn people criticize it. You know what I mean? And the hell with y'all. Y'all weren't there. That's the way I look at it. You know what I mean? These are my
Right.
stories. These are my group stories. These are the people who were in my group, story that actually witnessed that. And so with people trying to tell me that, oh, this is bullcrap, this didn't happen, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, well, you weren't there. Oh, what just said? So, Shawn, do you think people start with good intentions and they get caught up with the sensational? I truly believe that, Michelle. I really do. Let me see. I see that a lot. I totally agree about writing to help. You should write the book. Thank you, Michelle. I appreciate that.
That
Um,
is totally the case, and you see that a lot in
yeah,
anywhere actually. It's not just a paranormal; it's all across media will do this.
right. And what's it? But like I tell people, on my shows, I tell a lot of people, I'm like, if you want to become famous in the paranormal field, write a book. Write a book.
That's not really the case anymore because I feel like here's the other thing. Back when this book was written, there was virtually no paranormal TV. You had maybe one show up there.
Right.
The shows that were out, you had Taps, of course, or Ghost Hunters, and then you had I think Ghost Adventures just started with Zach Bagans at some point, and then you had there's a couple of them. There was Paranormal, the one from Penn State,
Oh, oh yeah. I met them a lot of times.
Ryan
Oh,
and
yeah.
that. But it
Ryan
was
Deal.
they weren't the investigators though on these shows weren't seen as like the complete know-it-all gods of all paranormal.
Right.
Know what I mean? They were just normal people. They portrayed themselves as normal people. You had a bunch of students with the paranormal group from, why is their name escaping me? The Penn State group.
It's paranormal. Wow. I don't know.
You know what I'm talking about, the Penn
Yes, I
State.
do. Yeah, Ryan Buell.
Um, they were just
He got
regular students, and then you had Taps. They were portraying themselves as plumbers, um, going in and making house calls with people who were haunted. They wanted to help the people in the houses.
right.
Now in the paranormal, it's nothing but these famous locations.
Yes.
And the only people that pay any attention to the paranormal, give they don't care at all about the normal people anymore. They don't make house calls. They don't care about
Right.
if you have a haunting. They just want to get out to places like Waverly. They want to make their videos. They want to post it, and that's it.
Exactly.
And
And
anybody who has a real story, nobody cares about. But if like one of these celebrities did, they sell millions of copies,
of
even though
course.
they can make it up and download the whole thing from AI, which two of them have, by the way. There's two celebrities out there that I know for a fact they did that,
Wow.
and yeah, they're it's crazy. But what has changed in the paranormal to where we only pay
Egos.
TV people?
Egos. Egos. Egos.
I'm going off the deep end. Oh yes, it's
You're
paranormal. You're right.
Yeah, paranormal safe. Thank you, Holly. No, hey Robbie, that's my best friend in the wide world. I grew up with him. But no, it's egos.
Not to
Okay.
go off on a tangent or anything like that. That I'm not going to say anything more about it.
Okay. I'll keep my okay. But you could say whatever you want. Wait till you come on my show next Sunday. Yeah, you
Oh,
can say whatever
we'll
you
talk
want.
about lots.
But I believe that people should know. Um, I believe people should know the truth or get another perspective. Yes, people do not help clients out no more. I remember there were groups that did go out and they made the matter worse. So my group would have to go out and take care of the situation. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And here's what blew me away about that at the beginning. These groups would go to a house and literally tell the people that they're not allowed to be in their house while they were investigating. And I'm like, no, you don't do that. I'm not going to let you come to my house, kick me out of my house while you do an investigation. That's a bunch of bullshit, right? I believe that they're having the problems. So they need to stay. So they need to know what the hell's going on. You know what I mean? It blew me away when this group would do that to the people. I'm like, you can't do that. That's not. People back then were all for their own, and you know what's sad? They're still like that. You know, um, after being retired, I look at all the other groups out there, and I'm not talking the ones from Pittsburgh. I'm talking about the ones that are all over the world. Okay, they have their egos are really big, and I'm thinking like, well, my picture is better than your pictures, and I usually tell them I don't give a damn. Okay, I don't care. You know what I mean? Well, look at it. Look at this figure. Look at this thing on it. I said, okay, if that's what you think it is, yeah, cool, whatever. I'm not going to give you the accolades for it. You know, it's not that I'm being mean. It's just like I don't want to get caught up with that because
Mhm.
I would probably say, hey, you know what? Shawn said this about my picture. And then I don't want to get into the middle of it. But there are still teams out there that freaking do it. And that's like another reason why. That's an underlying reason why I left. They were just, one group thought they were the best, and it's a bunch of worship because I really do believe in paranormal unity. Okay. And I believe that every group out there should work together to get an answer for people, for clients. I believe in that. Not like my group is better than your group or we have more equipment than you do. And it's not all about that.
You have more likes than I do on YouTube or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. And then they get really stupid like on YouTube. So I watch a couple of them and I'm like, seriously? You're putting it now everybody out there in the room here and listening, these are my opinions. Okay, these are my opinions. And I just look at it and I just shake my head. It's like, no, I don't want to be involved with that crap anymore.
Yeah. I'm kind of getting to that point with a lot of the paranormal actually, especially lately. So Holly asked, so what supposedly happened in the house on Brownsville Road? So it's very similar to a lot of other house or a lot of other stories like this. Um, to give you a little background, the family moves into this house in 1988. And then shortly after they're in the house, all this stuff starts happening to them. They had books thrown around. The son is the one that gets like an attachment and is the focus of the entire haunting. He becomes angry, disassociated with the family. He ends up getting kicked out of school. Just a lot of problems. He has suicidal ideologies. Um, it goes on and on. And then there, there's one room in the house where they actually close off, like the son can't sleep in there anymore. And there's like a cubby hole underneath the stairs where there's like a light that comes off and that can be turned on and off. And this is where it all starts. Is the guy claims that it would just turn on itself by itself, and it's one of those old pull cord
Mm-hmm.
things from that time period. And it's just the same typical story where the activity starts to ramp up, and then they try to get priests in there to clear the house. They had I want to say that Penn State group was in there at one point. I think I read that in the book, and they weren't able to clear the energy. Finally, the Catholic Church agrees to do an exorcism, and the energy supposedly clears out. But in the center of all this, there's like they have like cross. He has a cross that one of the priests gave him that ends up melting. Just a lot of strange stories like that. Like it gets to that point where there's crosses melting, like a metal cross, and just I think one of them is sick all the time. It's causing like stomach issues. I think with Bob Kramer. Um, so yeah, and then the house itself, though, the property itself does have a lot of history to it. Let me find that real quick for you. Let's see. Well, I'm looking for that. Shawn,
Yep.
do you know of any other cases in that neighborhood that was similar to this or in the Pittsburgh area at all?
Uh, not really, no. There was a couple places down in Elizabeth, PA, but nothing as so-called dramatic as that. But I'll tell you a story. I could write a book off of this and become famous. We did an investigation up in Monroeville, and some of the people in here heard about it. I told it before. I'll make it quick. But we did a walkthrough, me and my ex-girlfriend, we did a walkthrough on this house. And how we got to this house was his wife was at work, and as he was pulling out of his driveway going on Monroeville Boulevard, he got a call from inside his house. Okay. And the guy didn't look at it. It kind of freaked him out because no one was in his house, but he got a phone call from them. Long story short, he gets to work, he listens to it, gives us a call, we're talking. And so we went out there, did a walkthrough. And Doreen, she did an EVP session as we were doing the walkthrough. And right when we were about to go, she comes screaming out of the car. You got to hear this. You got to hear this. You got to hear this. And so she played it. And Doreen says the question, how old are you? And you can actually hear the guy say 93. Okay. And then the guy was busting into tears. And he said, that's my dad's voice. Okay. Now, the message he got from inside his house at work was, kill the nurse. We heard it. It said, kill the nurse. His wife was the nurse. His hot dad never liked his wife. And it's a true story. So we go and do the investigation, and there's a cross on the second floor. And the nail was driven in this way, so, and he hung the cross. And all of a sudden, we're walking up the steps. That cross comes off that wall. No lie. It does. And it fell right in front of us. Kind of blew me away. But that's a true one. Now, see, to me, Hollywood could probably make $20 million freaking movie out of that one. But what I'm just saying is my whole thing about I have been on a lot of investigations at different clients' houses, and they're all the same almost. You know what I mean? It's who writes the book and who's a good Hollywood producer. That's how it works.
Yeah, that's how it, and they always have like a Native American background or somebody was murdered or something, some kind of horrible history. And Michelle's right. She said, why are all entities supposedly expected to react to crosses? What if that is not the spirituality of the entity? That's very true. I mean, in Pittsburgh, we do have a lot of Jewish people that live there. I myself would have been one of those if I was still in Pittsburgh. We have a lot of Indian culture there. There's a lot of Chinese culture there, but
a lot of Irish,
right.
A lot of Irish, Germans, Slovakians. Oh yeah, we're a melting pot of everything under the sun. Yes.
But it's an interesting point, though. Why is that, you think, that we always associate it back to the Catholic religion?
We were raised that way. Okay. I did 12 years of the Catholic school, and I was always taught shit like that. If whatever happens, it's the demon who did it. You know, it's the devil who did it. You know what I mean? Michelle does have a point on that. Maybe there's other spirits out there that don't really react to it. I think the spirit in that dude, the old man, was haunting the house. And I truly believe that he was just putting on the show for us. I've been to houses and places of businesses where the spirit actually puts a show on, try to scare us, you know?
So it's just like a showman.
Basically, the ghost was putting on the show. They're, so I'm being honest with you on that one.
So why is it though that, like Michael Jackson here in Vegas, how come he's not haunting his old house over here in Vegas or anything like that,
Who was that?
Michael Jackson.
Is he? Did he actually die?
Yeah, they say he did.
Well, they say he did, right? Closed casket, but the conspiracy theorists out there,
You're kind of right about that too.
yeah,
But
the
especially toward
conspiracy
the end
theorists
there,
out there believe he's alive. Yes,
especially
but
toward.
yeah, no, I'm telling you, uh, being with UPRN for the last almost 6 or exactly, Shawn. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you. Um, no, being on this channel, and do these podcasts for almost 6 years now. I've met them all: cryptids, conspiracy theorists, UFO people, alien people, Bigfoot people. So I don't think Michael Jackson's dead, to be honest with you. That's my opinion. That's it. But um, they say that Elvis does. I think they have the plane that he owned, and I know a couple people actually saw his spirit in the plane. Yes, and they're legitimate people, people that are in the paranormal field that don't play. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Hmm.
I've been to Graceland a couple times, and that's definitely not haunted. Not that I
No,
know of anyway. I didn't pick anything up there
no,
other
no.
than
I
Shagra.
could go, seriously, Crystal, I could go to your house and probably find more ghosts in your house than I would at Graceland. Do you know what I mean?
Hmm.
You know, and you also got to remember, too, a lot of these numbskulls out there that go into a house or go into a business or whatever, and they start yelling at the ghost. They start
Yeah.
screaming at the ghost, and just to get a reaction. And I'm like, what are you doing? You don't do that. It's like, do you want to be yelled at when you're a ghost and people want a reaction out of you? Sure as hell you don't. So the way I look at it and the way I've done my investigations all the time was, if I treat the spirit with respect, and then they will respect me. And it works all the time. If you respect them, they will respect you back.
Michelle on here says that a lot too. I'm friends with Michelle. That's
Hmm.
that's commenting on here. So I did
Hmm.
find a little bit of the history of the house. If you guys are still interested in that, I don't know if you guys want to hear that or not. Um, Foxy Joe says, "Get off my train."
What's Michelle says, oh my God, I say that too, Shawn.
I mean, it's a valid point, you guys. Look, we go to these locations and we're yelling at spirits. First of all, you don't even know what that spirit is. What if it is demonic and you're sitting there yelling at a spirit? It's kind
Right.
of like the Vegas shooting. You ever seen reruns of that where the guy's shooting out of Mandalay Bay
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
the crowd, and you have like these concert goers that were drunk in the video flipping off the gunman. Well, the guy is shoot. You could hear like the bullets going past there.
Right. Right. Right.
Wouldn't it be kind of the same thing as you're not going to win that battle?
Basically. Absolutely. You, absolutely. I mean, I'd be running my ass off if I was being shot at.
Yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
But anyway, so we go into these places and we're yelling at ghosts and saying, "Show it to us." I mean, we don't know what these entities are in real life. Like nobody really knows
No.
what these are.
You know what's funny? What's funny is that when people do that, the spirit is like right next to them, just far away from their equipment. You know what I mean? They're sitting back and like the ghosts are saying, "Well, you know what, you son of a bitch! If you treat me nice, I'll give you some little. But if you treat me like crap, then forget it. I'm not. You're just wasting your time." But,
We could sit here and talk about this until midnight.
oh yeah, absolutely, hon. Absolutely.
So, the history of the property of the house. It says in 1792, a mother and her three young children were killed by Native Americans, of course, by Fort Pitt, which is kind of close to where this house is.
Right.
Um, it's called the Northwest Indian War. So they're
Mhm.
saying that the energy comes from, again, they're blaming the Native Americans for this stuff.
Right.
It's always like that. And then
Hmm.
it says this was done to discourage continued pioneer settlement in Western PA, blah, blah, blah. Maintains that this massacre occurred on the ground where the house is built and that the four individuals are buried in the front yard. I do remember that. There's this
Right.
massive tree right in the front yard.
Hmm.
They claim that they think one of the bodies is actually under that tree.
Okay.
Um,
I heard of that. I did hear that. I did hear that. But sure, the body is underneath the tree. Now you also got to remember too, right? You have to remember if there is a body buried by a tree, okay, that spirit should not move from that tree. Because what the tree does, it grounds the spirit of that body that's buried under there. And that spirit ain't going nowhere. Okay. So like if you go to a how long do we got?
it's 6:59.
Okay.
We still got a couple minutes,
Oh, you do? Okay. Well,
right?
if you go to an antique store and buy an antique salt and pepper shaker, right? And that spirit is connected to that. You buy it, that spirit's going with you. But you did something to that salt and pepper shaker that they didn't like, and all of a sudden, you're literally sell. So, what I tell people is that get a box, put some sea salt in it, put the salt and pepper shakers in there, you know, covered the box, and go dig a hole by the oldest tree out there. Dig a hole, okay? Dig a hole, put the box in, throw some sea salt on top of that box, and bury it. And the spirit will not move. It stays right there. Not only is the salt grinding the spirit there, it's also the tree is grinding the spirit along with the ghost, along with the salt.
Hmm. That's really interesting. Does
Hmm.
that work with haunted dolls and things like that too?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, here's my big question now. If you're a
Okay.
human, if you're a human entity, you come back as a ghost, why would you want to go and be attached to a salt and pepper shaker?
Well, because they probably that was their salt and pepper shaker, and they're attached to it, just like um, your microphone. There could be a ghost that likes your microphone that you're speaking into, and wherever that microphone goes, that's going to go. Or a piece of jewelry that you have on, or in your house, and the spirit comes in and likes your jewelry. That spirit ain't leaving because of that jewelry. They just get it. They get attached to things, and they don't leave because they feel comfortable around them. To make them, I guess it kind of like makes them feel at home. You know what I mean?
I'm trying to think if I have any object that I would want to be attached to. Out of all the objects in my house,
Hmm. I don't. Not, not, I want to go out west, or you know what I mean. I actually want to go to Eastern Penitentiary as a ghost and walk through Eastern Penitentiary. And is it really for real? You know what I mean? Some of the places, is it real? And a friend of mine, he said one time after, we investigated together, but had a little falling out, but he always said, I cannot wait till I die. And he said that, and he said, then I can be a spirit and I can find out what am I allowed to do as a spirit and what I'm not allowed to do as a spirit. Do they have rules out there in spirit world that they have to follow? Do you know what I mean?
it kind of seems like they do.
Yeah, they do.
Especially when you pick up energy or are able to communicate with the spirit world. I don't know if you believe in that or not. I'm a very big
Oh, I
believer.
do. I do. Oh, yeah. Very much so.
You only get bits and pieces, and even like I do spirit art for people. So
Mhm.
even when I do readings for people, the messages that come through mean nothing to me. They could be the silliest thing, like it'll be a birdhouse or something on a tree, and I'm sitting there going, I'm not going to draw that. That's stupid. They're going to think I'm stupid, right? So
Mhm.
I'll put it on there anyway. I don't know the story behind any of that. And I show it to them and they start crying and, oh, that's my grandma. She loved feeding the birds and she had bird houses all over her yard. And that's like the number one thing that I remember as a child. And, so it's like you're only allowed to get so much, it seems like.
Right. And
Like they're,
that's all they permit you to have. I mean, and I guess that's okay um, for that to happen. I did look at some of your art, and beautiful.
oh, thank you.
Hmm. It's really beautiful.
So Michelle says it depends on the frequency of the spirit. And how much
Frequencies. Uh, to be honest with you, Michelle, which cryptid do you believe in most? Yeah, good. Oh, that's Michelle. Which cryptid do you believe in the most? I believe two
I'm a
of them:
fan.
Bigfoot and aliens. Those two I totally believe in the most. In fact, meeting all kind of Bigfoot hunters out on this channel, on this platform, man. I'm going. I'm going to go with Mr. Wojo. There you go. Mr. Wojo is still here. He said good choices. Don't
Voices.
forget, don't forget, dude. I'm going to be up in Boston, Massachusetts with you guys. So I'm going to go Bigfoot hunting up
Wait. There's a Bigfoot in Boston?
in
No way.
Massachusetts. That Mr. Wojo, that
I
man, you
know
got to get
that. I
on
don't
with too.
believe. It's
Yes.
too crowded.
Oh, Wojo. Wojo, she's getting on you. You got to contact Richie V and Wojo to get you on. You got to get them two on your show. They'll tell you.
Oh, I will definitely have them. You guys want to come on, get in touch with me because we need to talk about some things. Now, listen, I
Um,
lived in Boston for a while. I lived in Danvers, Massachusetts. And I was a kid, mind you, middle school. But it's so crowded up there. There is literally nowhere for a Bigfoot to live.
Wojo's smiling. He's biting at the bit. He just wants.
I know he is. I'm getting them all riled
Michelle,
up.
I like Bigfoot and aliens, UFOs.
So, well, anyway, we're out of time, aren't we? It
Bummer.
always happens. You guys, I'm so sorry I forgot to hit the live button. We did have a lot to talk about, but we didn't get to a lot of it, did we?
No, no, but you know what? We could go 2 hours easy, 3 hours
Oh,
easy,
yeah, definitely.
no doubt.
All right. So,
Thank you for having me on your show.
and you guys, on Sunday night, I'm going to be on Sean Kelly's show, Into the
Into the
Night.
night. Mm-hmm.
It's
8:10
on,
p.m.
yes, it's on 107.7 FM New Orleans. That's what you're listening to. Next week on the Gateway, Michelle is actually going to be a guest. Michelle Welsh. She has a book called Spirits Unveiled, and she's got another book that's just coming out, brand new book. She's written several, but her brand new book is coming out, and we'll talk about that as well on her show. But you guys don't want to miss her. She's really, really good. Other news: the magazine, Erie Expeditions magazine. If you guys have not looked it up yet, please do. It's a new magazine. I just put it out. It's absolutely no paranormal celebrities. If they are, they're writers. They're not your TV actors or anything like that. This is real paranormal travel. So if you want to know about a location, if you're interested in what Romania, haunted Transylvania is, it's stuff like that in this magazine. And it's kind of like National Geographic for paranormal. So
Sweet.
look it up. It's www.erieexpeditionsmagazine.com.
I will
It's
definitely
brand
do
new.
that.
The third magazine, the third edition is coming up. I'm putting it out next week, and it's on the Fae in Castles. So you guys would really like that.
Sweet.
Well, tune into our next week, you guys. And until then, see you soon.
Bye, everybody.
And thank you guys for all of your support.
Michelle says, loved this episode. I'm glad you did, Michelle. Don't forget, she'll be on next Sunday on Into the Night. Same platform, UPRN Talk Radio.